Alright, so I've been waiting to start my recording for the day. It's just been disruption after disruption with the noise around me. It's a very busy day for disruption. But I'm going to go ahead and just start because I'm not going to sit here all day and wait. I feel like I'm waiting on monitoring spirits right now, and I don't have time for that. So I'm just going to get into it. And if you hear any noise in the background, just ignore it. I can't control it. I live in a very loud neighborhood. There's a lot going on around me, and my walls are paper thin. So I first started tapping into the energy today a little while ago, and I started with pulling some cards. And these are the cards out here on the table that came out. And the first card was power, and then freedom. And then I stopped there, and I was like, yes, there is freedom in power, and there's power in freedom. That was my thought process. And then I continued pulling cards, and sacred wisdom came out. And then patience. And this tells me that there is a sacred wisdom that comes with patience. And it's funny how I was sitting here kind of waiting and being very patient to start the works. And who knows, maybe that's kind of going to play into the whole energy. But anyways, after that, I had to go off and do a few things around the house as well. It's a whole morning process for me to get ready for messages. So I sat down, and I noticed a message on my phone. Sometimes I get these little notifications from Google or whatever, and they tell me like interesting facts and stuff like that. Anyways, I noticed that the message, the notification on my phone was about a vessel, like a clay pot found in Egypt, and it was inside of a stone tomb. And it was very well sealed, and they opened it up. They found bones inside of the clay pot. And it was talking about how, because this body was so well preserved, by being in this stone tomb and inside of a really dry, sealed clay pot, they were able to extract the DNA from the bones and the teeth to kind of study it, to study what is in the bloodline of this person, what's in the DNA. And they came to find out a lot of things. They were able to pinpoint that the bones were from about 2500 BC. And the article talked about how this would put the person that they found at the time of the pyramids, when they were supposedly first installed, with the Nile River still flowing. And also that this person was a male, and that his DNA showed that he was Egyptian, but he was also Syrian. And they found that amazing because they're so far apart from one another, and yet here's this body with those DNA, with the DNA of both Egyptian and Syrian, and it shows the pilgrimage, even way back 2500 BC, how people traveled to Egypt. And also it showed, I'm just reading my notes, so if I'm pausing, that's what I'm doing. But it also shows, the bones showed that the man was around 60 years old when he died, and the bones showed deterioration due to osteoporosis and a lifetime of really hard, really repetitive work. And so I thought that was super interesting, and Spirit told me to tie this in with what's coming out for the message today. And then a few other things that I've tapped into as I started meditating, actually sitting down and meditating. I heard the words tortured soul. And then I heard opening up the floodgates. And then I heard disruption in the flow. And when I heard disruption in the flow, I started seeing a fast-moving stream going like downhill, like down a mountainside or something. But there was lots of rocks in the stream. So it was kind of disrupting the pure flow of the water running down. And then I was brought to the vision of like a little stick moving in the water with the water, and how it got stuck on a little rock. And there was like a bunch of cluster of rocks around it. And finally it was able to wiggle itself in between the rocks so it can keep going with the water. And after I was given that vision, I heard the patience of a saint. So that little twig had the patience of a saint, because it knew that it was going to be able to wiggle its way free eventually and start going with the flow again. So that's how far I got. And then I decided to go ahead and just start recording. So back to the cards. There's power in freedom, and there's also freedom in power. I'm getting the energy of someone who's coming into some very sacred knowledge. Perhaps you resonate with a past life of being in Egypt, but not being fully 100% Egyptian, and maybe ancient, to the point of when the Nile was running, was full and was not dried up anymore, and it was like an oasis. And that's what I'm being shown in my mind's eye right now, is an oasis surrounding the pyramids. There was lots of green, there was exotic animals, there was plenty of fruit. The land wasn't barren and deserted, in a sense of, a lack of water becoming a desert, that kind of thing. And this sacred wisdom is coming in because I just heard patience is a virtue. And so this wisdom is returning to you because of your patience. It's something that it's been waited upon for a really long, long time. I'm getting the feeling that this took lifetimes to bring back. It's bringing it's bringing lifetimes too. It's bringing more lifetimes into the existence of your physical mind now. This is very interesting. Oh, thank you. The vessel. And Spirit here is speaking about how when your soul comes into a 3D body and then you awaken while you're still alive, there's this thing called rising. And rising does not happen after you die and after your flesh is no longer functioning. The rising happens before that. And when the rising happens, you become a vessel, and that makes way for sacred wisdom to come through. That's too many, sorry, Spirit. The fault line. Sorry if I'm holding that up too high. The fault line and the king. It's interesting. I'm seeing a kingdom sitting on a fault line and like actually physically breaking apart to the point where, I don't know, I just see this big, like, it's not a castle, it's more like a temple. And it's being ripped in two because of where it's placed on the earth. So perhaps I'm picking up on someone's past life energy. Perhaps you were the king of this kind of a kingdom, and that it was very disruptive. Oh, I get it. It was disruptive to the flow because things were flowing great. And then all of a sudden this catastrophe happened and your kingdom was completely ripped in half, like torn apart. One day it was fine, the next day it was a complete nightmare mess. And I'm getting the feelings of this king energy. It brought on sudden despair and sudden confusion and chaos. The stone. Oh. Like that article I was just talking about that I read. The bones being inside of a stone burial site. Tortured soul. So that could be very torturous for that soul to have his kingdom just completely ripped in half. The sustainer. This king saw himself as the sustainer for his people, for his kingdom, and when this happened, he felt like a complete failure. He felt that his flow was completely disrupted. So what's the moral to all this, Spirit? Why is this coming through? Very interesting reading. Many, many lifetimes this has been held on to. it took all of these years. They're taking me back to that time period, 2500 BC. That's quite some time ago. And there's lots of lifetimes that were lived of this person coming back after each death and rebirth cycle, again and again, patiently learning each time more and more. I'm seeing that the realization of this fault line doing this to the kingdom, the realization that it wasn't this king's fault. King's fault line. It wasn't his fault, and he kept bringing the guilt over lifetime after lifetime. And finding freedom in the power that was within him, he freed himself from the guilt, because he had to learn that it was beyond his control. It was something that happened that was beyond his control. And once all those spirits that may have left their bodies during that time as well, automatically on the other side, they have forgiven him. But he hasn't forgiven himself because he hasn't seen that he didn't have any control over what happened. The mystic. The mystic and the eternal child. One more to clarify. The storm. So perhaps this king was a mystic of some sort. Maybe a priest king. The eternal child. I don't know why, but this is starting to really make me think of Thoth, but he is one of my close guides, so he might just be moving in to help me to decipher all of this. And the storm, that's interesting too, how the storm kind of looks like the fault line card. The mask. The eternal child brings me to getting back in touch with childlike things, like childlike wonder. And the mask, this person carried a mask over that for eons. I've heard. I don't know why Spirit laughed either. But it's the taking the mask off, the mask of the guilt in this situation, right? I'm going to get a couple of these and see if we have any more on this. Time. Time heals all wounds. This took a lot of time. This took a lot of grounding. Laying the groundwork I heard. And shift. The time for shifting is now. It's grounded. Safe travels. It kind of brings me back to the article that I've talked about in the beginning of the pilgrimage, shown within the DNA of that man that was found, his bones. It shows that even a mixture of DNA of Egyptian and Syrian can happen way back in the ancient times, and how it makes scientists nowadays perplexed as to, you know, not really perplexed, but amazed is a better word, of how great distances could have been traveled way back then. Because imagine how much time that would take. That would take, you know, I don't even want to think about it because I don't know. We all travel by cars and planes now, so we can't even really imagine what it would be like to do that kind of traveling on foot. It doesn't even guarantee that they even had horses, you know, to do that with. So, trust. Sorry, I bumped the camera. My apologies. Trust and air. Just had a full moon in Aries, so that's where my brain went when I saw air and trusting the full moon energy. It's fire. So we have elements coming out. Talisman. The key. Oh, okay, it's about the key. The fire is the key, I heard. The fire is the key. Finding that flame within. I'm not even sure what this message is about, to be honest. But I hope it finds whoever it's for. And I'm sure that whoever it's for, it's all going to make sense to them. And go ahead and pull a Divine Masters just to see if we can close this out with something that we can tie all this up in. Sorry, I keep knocking the camera. The blue beings. Wounds healed, important information, and charging up. So that really does go with the whole theme of whatever this message is. It's that wisdom, the sacred wisdom, coming through the patience. and the wounds of this story of the king and the fault line. The wounds being healed from that. So it's a message of healing, of sacred wisdom coming in through patience and finding the freedom in your power and the power in the freedom. Charging up. I'll go ahead and read this card out of the book and probably end it there since I'm getting pretty close to a 30-minute reading. There are many names for these beings, such as extraterrestrials, star people, star ancestors, sky people, and more. Whatever they're called, they are divinely inspired, evolved beings existing in dimensions that we can't even comprehend. These dimensions are alternate realities, and so far in the future that these bright ones beyond seeing anything that troubles us now. These overseers of the cosmos are like angels in the sense that they are expressions of the divine fully connected to the heart of Source. Star beings exist in multiple forms and in this case appear as blue beings. They are here to transport you energetically to their healing sanctuaries so that you can be whole and healed. They come in peace, radiating the highest light and frequencies that can assist you on all levels of healing. They work on a quantum level, and thus, when their healing touches your life, the root cause of any disease is eliminated and completely healed. So perhaps this message is for someone who is working on past life, like way past life wounds, big ones. And these blue beings are coming in to assist you with the healing of the root of the cause. Ailments, problems in your lifetime here and now are definitely and can be reflections of past life wounds. And the whole goal here when we reincarnate is to heal and be made whole. And being shown an oversoul kind of like collecting fragments and piecing them back together. Kind of like mirror shards. When a mirror breaks and it's all cast on the floor, I'm seeing this oversoul picking it up piece by piece and putting the pieces back together very meticulously, very patiently. The book says, your message. If the world feels overwhelming or intense, know that hands of light are upon you now. Take a moment to retreat to a safe place to cleanse and recharge your energy. Don't feel guilty about it. You need to be constantly in the limelight or in the service of others. This is not a time to sacrifice your own well-being in order to serve others. Take the time to recharge, observe, and review how you feel. Time, that's funny how that ended up landing, or ended up like that, and then those last words of that is take the time, and that's the key. Take the time. So yeah, I'm going to end this one here because we are at 30 minutes. And many blessings to you all. Thank you so much for being here. I love you all, and I will see you in the next video.